Coming up on Newswatch at noon in depth.
We have a lot of students that live in the outlying areas, out in the township and the rural parts, and they don't have high-speed internet. And it's a big impact on what we're able to offer from an educational standpoint.
The World Wide Web may not be as wide as some people think, as Athens County students struggle for online access after school hours.
You can see that's a lot more friendly than this one, which is a 45.
Will concealed carry on Ohio University's campus be a bang or a bust? We'll tell you how students and the community feel about the proposed concealed carry bill.
For us at River Valley, in my experience, being on the other side of the table, we've taken so many kids over the years that probably would not get a college education if it weren't for sports.
College may seem like a far throw for some high school students, but athletic recruitments could shorten the distance for young Southeast Ohio athletes. All this and more coming up now on Newswatch at noon in depth.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
Good afternoon, I'm Nicole Schneider. Welcome to Newswatch at noon in depth.
And I'm Rachel Nemi. In the next half hour, we'll talk about issues that will impact the lives of people in Southeast Ohio.
The debate over concealed carry has heated up since Governor Kasich signed Senate Bill 199 into law. So will gun owners ever have a shot at carrying on OU's campus?
And just how likely are Southeast Ohio high school students to have a shot from going to Friday Night Lights to Saturday afternoon glory? Coming up, we'll look at the rough road of recruitment to catch that path to a college degree.
But first, many students in Athens County schools lose computer access once they step out of their school buildings. We take a look at what the county is doing to lessen the digital disconnect. There's no denying that technology is embedded in nearly everything we do in today's society. But imagine trying to do homework on a smartphone or trying to apply for jobs at the library. That's the reality for many people in Southeast Ohio, because even if they have devices, they may not have a way to connect. Newswatch at noon in-depth reporter Sean Neidig joins us to explain the struggles to get connected.
Yeah, here in our newsroom on the campus of Ohio University, you can see a lot of computers, but once you leave the building, you won't find a place like this for miles. Ohio is in the bottom half of states for connectivity. That means that thousands in Southeast Ohio can't access the web at any speed. And that lack of high-speed internet is really affecting our kids. It gets in the way of how students learn in and out of school.
You look around the Athens High School library, you won't see many desktop computers. In fact, this is one of the few left in the school.
4 years ago, we had 24 desktop computers in our library, and I think we had, 24 old laptops, many of which didn't work.
David Hanning is in his 4th year as Athens High School principal. He gets it. His kids struggle to compete in a connected world. Hanning says that's why the district superintendent made the decision to invest in technology. Athens City Schools got rid of the desktops and broken laptops used by students and bought Chromebooks by the cartful. The school now has 7 carts with 30 Chromebooks each. That's 210 Chromebooks. It sounds good, but there are more than 600 students at Athens High School. Athens does allow students to bring their own devices for educational purposes if they have them.
Some teachers don't like people having their phones out, but they'll tolerate it basically if you're checking grades or seeing if you turned something in or not, if there are no Chromebooks accessible.
They can access the internet with their phone. They do it here with the permission of the teacher, and they can use our network. I would say we've increased access tremendously in the last 4 years.
In Southeast Ohio, 1 in 4 families rely solely on mobile access, and Hanning says that even the poor students have smartphones. How and when students can access the web is challenging, but Athens is in constant communication with other schools in the area.
You know, we always talk to each other about what we're doing, and that's how we get ideas. You know, the best ideas are the ones that you steal from somebody else. And in Southeast Ohio in particular, we're all in the same boat. Funding is an issue, but we recognize that we need to increase our technology hardware. We need to increase the ways that we use it in the classroom.
The cost of internet has dropped by 50% over the past 2 years for schools, but affordability is still the biggest roadblock. Schools are constantly trying to find new ways to boost technology funding. Even with more funding, after 3 o'clock, students are on their own trying to access the web.
We have a lot of students that live in the outlying areas, out in the township and the rural parts, and they don't have high-speed internet. And it's a big impact on what we're able to offer from an educational standpoint, because there's a big push to use technology, and it's fine as long as students are here and they can use our technology.
One of the ways that people in Southeast Ohio make up for the lack of high-speed in-home internet is by coming to their public library to use technology like this. And Ohioans actually average the highest number of library visits per person in the country.
Nick Tepe is the director of the Athens County Public Library System. In his 3 years in the system, the 7 branch libraries have put an emphasis on more technology for people.
One of the most important things that libraries are doing today is providing that digital access, especially to people who don't necessarily have it at home, people who are unfamiliar with the technology and who need assistance. The biggest advantage that libraries offer is that we have staff here all the time who can help people navigate that. And we even have a program partially funded by the state through a program called Guiding Ohio Online, where we have an AmeriCorps volunteer who can meet with people one-on-one and help them with issues that we may not be able to spend the time with them on just when they come in and drop in the library.
About 2,000 people in Athens County don't have wired internet access. The lack of connectivity doesn't only affect students, but adults in need of the internet.
First I wasn't, because I had my own laptop, but it broke, so now I'm coming back here to get online.
Probably one of the larger services that we are able to offer through that is helping people apply for jobs, helping people get resumes in order, print them out in order to get jobs. There are very, very few places that you can apply for a job anymore where it's not 100% online, and a lot of those applications are actually really difficult to navigate. So that's a huge piece of what we do now, is to help people navigate that when they're not particularly comfortable with it or if they don't have access.
Karen Davis is the director of the Sylvester Memorial Wellston Public Library, which has fewer than 20 computers, and a lot of users use them on a regular basis. Wellston has fewer people than most Athens communities, which means it gets even less attention from internet companies.
A lot of people do have smartphones in this day and age, but because we live in a hilly terrain, having a smartphone doesn't mean you're always going to be able to get cellular service. And it is very difficult to create a resume when you have a smartphone, so you do actually kind of need more of a computer type system. So yes, we do have some who are, don't either have internet at home or have a cell phone and can't do what they need to do with it.
Libraries can fill a lot of the gaps for residents without in-home internet, but it's not a long-term solution. Congressman Steve Stivers knows that his district needs help and needs help fast. While the lack of connectivity is getting more and more attention in Washington, there is still a huge gap between Southeast Ohio and even the rest of the state.
With the increasing affordability of some of this technology, we are slowly starting to bridge the digital divide, but we've got a lot more work to do, and that's why I believe that broadband should be considered as infrastructure when we talk about building roads and bridges and airports, and when we talk about public transit in our urban areas. We need to remember that broadband access in our rural areas is really important.
There are multiple organizations across the state that are dedicated to help provide that broadband access. Connect Ohio is a nonprofit group based in Columbus that works to expand the accessibility of high-speed internet across the state, and especially in Southeast Ohio. Stu Johnson is the executive director of Connect Ohio and vice president of Connected Nation. Johnson manages the organization's programs and works with people at all levels to get Ohioans the access they need.
We're real glad to have the congressman in district talking to business leaders, community leaders, educational folks about the needs for broadband and where we stand today. And I'll tell you, our Congress has been very active in making a lot of changes recently. It's fascinating to see. Now we have a capital bill that's floating around that talks about $20 billion for telecommunications infrastructure, broadband infrastructure. 5 years ago, that wouldn't have been part of the conversation. So we're making great strides, and our state General Assembly has done a great job on some things that they've taken on, and as well as the local communities are and our providers are doing a great job. But there's a lot of work that's yet to be done.
When we talked to Congressman Stivers and Stu Johnson, they were donating 18 used laptops to Vinton County High School. This is an example of one of the ways that people are trying to help communities throughout Southeast Ohio in need of connectivity. But as you just heard them say, there's still a lot of work left to be done.
So Sean, what is the goal and how long will it take for organizations like Connect Ohio to reach these goals?
Well, everyone acknowledges that it's going to be impossible to provide everyone with internet for a couple different factors, terrain being one. And Congressman Stivers and Johnson, they didn't want to put a number on how much money they want to put towards this, but they said that their efforts aren't going to end anytime soon. Reporting live in the newsroom for Newswatch, I'm Sean Neidig.
Thank you, Sean.
It seems like nearly every week we hear about another campus shooting. Most recently, campus violence came close to home with the stabbing at OSU. These incidents fuel the debate over guns on campus, and that debate caught fire when Governor John Kasich signed the campus carry bill into law in December. Now, the decision of whether or not to allow guns on campus is up to university leaders. Newswatch at Noon in-depth reporter Mackenzie Pyatt explores what that means here on Ohio University's campus.
In Athens, residents are allowed to own guns and have concealed carry permits, but they're not supposed to bring those guns on campus. The debate over whether that changes has divided the Athens campus from OU branch campuses. We looked into why long-term gun owners are both for and against students carrying on campus.
You can see that's a lot more friendly than this one, which is a 45.
John Euler is an instructor at Hilltop Gun Club in Albany. He's also a military veteran with 46 years of experience handling guns.
I was in the Army 22 years, so you name it, I've shot it.
John and most other U.S. citizens have the right to carry a gun. All 50 states allow citizens to carry concealed weapons if they meet certain requirements. Sheriff Rodney Smith enforces these laws in Athens County.
To be qualified for a concealed carry permit is be 21 years old or older. You have to have no felony convictions of a crime of violence or drug offenses. And you have to have an 8-hour schooling with a certified trainer to get to the classes and pass the class. Then you come in here and get your permit.
But the law changes when you step foot on a college campus. Ohio and 23 other states leave the decision to ban or allow concealed carry weapons up to individual colleges and universities.
Ohio University cannot prohibit guns on campus. Okay? Open carry on college campus in Ohio is perfectly legal, and the university has no authority to regulate that.
Michael Newbern is a member of Students for Concealed Carry. It's a grassroots organization. Members advocate for the right of a licensee to carry a concealed gun on a college campus. An Ohio University chapter of this organization, Bobcats for Concealed Carry, is in the process of restarting on campus.
We're law-abiding citizens, and we're permitted to carry everywhere else in the state. And so why are we not allowed to carry on campus? What makes us different? How am I different when I cross in Columbus, when I cross High Street, right, onto college campus? I'm not. I'm the same person. So why is my right limited there and permitted over here?
This right here is a 9mm semi-automatic pistol. This is about the average size of a concealed carry handgun. In mid-December last year, Ohio Governor John Kasich signed Senate Bill 199 into law. The bill allows concealed firearms on college campuses and at daycares if college trustees or daycare owners approve. This Senate bill was introduced after a terrorist attack and injured 11 students on the Ohio State University campus.
We do find that students who speak out in campus concealed carry, for campus concealed carry at several universities, more extensive trustworthy polls, do find that students publicly don't admit support for campus concealed carry more than students are willing to publicly admit non-support for campus concealed carry.
In fact, the Washington Post investigated 129 mass shooting incidents, including those on campuses. Reporters found that more than 140 of the guns used were obtained legally, and only about 40 were illegal weapons.
A campus-wide alert going out at Ohio State University.
This word out of Columbus, Ohio.
The deadliest mass shooting in American history.
Gun laws.
Another mass shooting in America.
Guns in America.
Another shooting.
Mass shooting.
Mass killings in the United States are mostly carried out with handguns that have been obtained legally. According to a CNN investigation, people have a greater chance of dying in mass shootings if they're at school or work. And this brings us back to the debate on Ohio University's campus. Should legally obtained weapons be allowed? Student Senate called for a referendum on the issue. They asked students to vote for or against the Board of Trustees allowing concealed carry on OU's campus. Over 6,900 students voted across the Athens campus and regional campuses at OU. The results were 65% against and 35% for concealed carry. The Senate passed a bill to encourage Board of Trustees to continue not allowing concealed carry weapons on campus.
I just don't think taking someone's life or having the power to take someone's life should be in the hands of a 21-year-old.
Emily Deering, a sophomore at Ohio University and member of Student Senate, does not support concealed carry on campus. However, another member of Student Senate, Danielle Easton, supports it.
It doesn't really make sense to me that people are like, I don't want guns in the classroom, because guns are around you anyways. Like they're on Court Street. I've heard a lot of people say that, oh, what if someone brings a gun in the bar? I'm like, they can already do that. Like, if you're drinking, you're not supposed to have a gun, but they can technically already do that.
While some students fear for their safety, Euler believes that the real danger is in students not having the full capacity to realize the magnitude of their actions.
I think the maturity level isn't there yet. I don't think the students, have fully developed in maturity to be able to know necessarily when to and when not to use it. There's a lot of partying going on in colleges. That's just a fact of life. I just think it's a formula for disaster on a college campus.
While Ohio University students already voted against concealed carry on campus, the final decision will be up to the Board of Trustees. We expect the trustees to vote during their next meeting in March.
Mackenzie, what about concealed carry on other area college campuses?
Rachel, so far most state and private colleges have decided to make no changes to their current policies. For example, Hocking College announced just last week they would not allow campus carry. For Newswatch at Noon in Depth, I'm Mackenzie Pyatt. Rachel, back to you.
Thanks, Mackenzie. Well, Nicole, it'll be interesting to see what the final decision on campus carry that the Board of Trustees will make at their next meeting.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how they're going to react to what the students have decided. Now, while college students here at OU have already cast their vote for that big decision, some high school students are just now starting to roll the dice on another big choice, whether or not to try and pursue collegiate athletic opportunities.
We'll bring you an inside look on what high school students go through when they get recruited to play at the college level. More on this when Newswatch at Noon In Depth returns.
Good morning. Hope you all had a good weekend and are ready to be inspired. One quick thing I want to remind you guys to be studying.
Major key alert. Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Class, today we're talking about inspirational quotes.
You want to get that paper? You better turn in that paper and get an A+. That's a major key. Another one. Mogul talk. You want to reach the mountaintop? You got to go hard. To succeed, you have to believe. Stay focused. Fly higher than the eagle. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote from recent history?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
Start a story. Adopt at theshelterpetproject.org.
To be at peace with myself is the most prominent thing, and I am at peace with myself. I didn't deal this deck, I'm just playing the game. That's all. That's it. Meals on Wheels has given me a mode of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise. And making sure they get the nutrition that I need, and it's a balanced meal. My name is Maurice McGriff. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
It's a life-changing time for high school football players when they transition from Friday night lights to Saturday game day. But the process of moving from high school football to the college level is not as easy as trading one jersey for another. Newswatch at Noon in-depth reporter Danny Dean is live at Peden Stadium. Danny, how tough is that route for Southeast Ohio kids trying to get that golden ticket to college?
They want to get right here, but it's a lot tougher for kids from this area. They don't have the same exposure as students from other high schools with more resources. Still, if college education is the question, for some kids, sports may be the only answer.
Oh, the story and the agony of recruiting.
Jared Sparling is a former college football player and recruiter, and now spends his time shaping the future careers of his athletes as a River Valley High School head coach. While some seniors are celebrating commitments on National Signing Day, juniors are just beginning their recruiting process. But let's take it all the way back to step one, defining your goals.
You know, obviously when they're freshmen and sophomores, if they have those aspirations, we have communication and we're kind of guiding them. After signing day, sometime in March and April, I'll sit down with my seniors to be and kind of tell them, hey, listen, if this is what you want to do, here's what the next few months need to look like.
Step two, get out there and get yourself seen, which isn't an easy task for athletes in Southeast Ohio. Donnie Johnson, a former Gallia Academy standout, went through this process. He figured out the key to exposure when you come from a small Appalachian high school.
Don't be that 18-year-old shy kid that you don't want to ask questions. Ask questions, go to every single visit you can, annoy the coaches, and expose yourself, because in this world today, nobody's going to really take care of you better than you. I left it all on the field and let everything happen for itself, is the way I took that approach. My junior year is when I started getting exposure, attending camps, filling out those questionnaires. I took official visit to West Virginia.
You know, in June and July, you need to go to as many one-day camps as you possibly can.
Today, high school athletes have technology on their side. For example, the website Huddle.com, a company that provides an easy-to-use highlight production and video review service for football teams. And this leads us to step three, use your resources.
Huddle allows you to make your own videos, and it's easy to get out to people by all social medias. And then you can send it by email, and coaches and anybody that has Huddle can access your videos without you even having to give them permission. They can view your profiles and all your videos on there. It's very simple. This is the main homepage, and you can search players, view highlights from your team. I have my basketball and my football accounts on here, and you can just access either one very easily. All right, so you can make your featured highlight your first highlight, and then people can just scroll through and see each video you made, and you can share them, or you can go back and edit them anytime you want.
So on one hand, you have these recruiting websites nowadays to where anybody can make a highlight film and put it on there. And highlight films and technology is becoming so great that you might not be the player that everyone thought you were on film because it's a highlight.
I think highlight films are the easiest way to get noticed, but you have to have substantial game film to back it up.
Only about 1 in 4 kids from Southeast Ohio take the step to higher education, and we wanted to find out what it takes to make those steps on a football field. Right now, this sideline is empty, but during the season, it's filled with players from all over the country. Doesn't matter where you came from, all that matters is your performance on the field.
There's a lot of guys that are proactive and do what they're supposed to do. There's some, like I have one right now, that one's been on my last nerve. Hey, take the ACT, take the ACT, take the ACT. I have 3 coaches waiting for his score. So what we tell our guys is, hey, listen, you know, the higher your GPA is, the better your test score is, the more money you're going to get, you know, in your whole athletic package.
All coaches stress grades, and my dad and my parents stress grades really bad. I'm a straight A student, so that helps. I think I take grades very seriously. I think that's the first thing they'll look at, is what my grades are, especially when it comes down to who they're going to give offers to.
For us at River Valley, in my experience, being on the other side of the table, we've taken so many kids over the years that probably would not get a college education if it weren't for sports. You know, because I think the day of everybody just going to college because it's the thing you do, I think those days are over. And honestly, college is so expensive nowadays. There's not a lot of people that just voluntarily go in and say, okay, well, yeah, I'll spend $20,000, $30,000 a year on an education.
Giving advice to kids is don't waste an opportunity to do what you want to do and be successful. And not all kids and not all people are meant for college, but at the same time, don't sell yourself short on knowledge. Knowledge is power, and no one can ever take knowledge away from an individual.
Jared Sparling has sent students to higher education every year as a River Valley head football coach. Some are on the fast track to a pre-med degree while playing football, and others realize that Appalachia is home and they return to the hills of Southeast Ohio. Either way, the gridiron helped them figure it out.
Danny, since Hudl is so easily accessible, is it popular outside of Appalachia?
Yes, it is. It's very popular, and since it's become so easy to use and so accessible, it's almost a negative because it's easy for students to get lost in the highlight mix. Sparling told me that it's more beneficial to have full game footage. Reporting for Newswatch at Noon in depth, I'm Danny Dean.
Thank you, Danny. We'll be back after the break.
I guess sometimes things just happen. Devastating things. It's got nothing to do with fairness. Bam. Your whole world changes in an instant. And you never see it coming. That's what happened to me the day my mother had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to learn the signs of a stroke fast. F-A-S-T.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. Because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke, F-A-S-T, fast.
That wraps up another episode of Newswatch at Noon in depth. To find more on these stories, go online to woub.org.
And we'll be back here at noon on Friday, March 31st to bring you another in-depth look at Southeast Ohio. In our next show, we'll be discussing alternative forms of therapy.
We'll also explore why the number of repeat offenders in Ohio is relatively low, plus a look at the surprising way some college students are now funding their tuition.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here in March.